The UEFA Champions League final is just a few weeks away, and this rollercoaster ride of a season is nearing its inevitable end. Over the past 8 months, we've witnessed a brand new league phase system take over, and it's fair to say that this edition of the tournament has been completely different to what any of us could have anticipated. Back in September, I made a video where I made my predictions for the new Champions League season, and it's safe to say that I couldn't have been farther from the truth. Today, we're taking a look back at some of those predictions to see which ones came closer to becoming a reality and which ones were completely different from the actual outcome. It's almost impossible to predict how the Champions League will unfold, and that's what makes this competition so fun. Starting off with the top 8 in the league table, let's see how close my predictions were to reality.
Starting off the table is Real Madrid, who I predict will go 8 for 8 in the first stage, topping the table in style. Next up is Bayern Munich, who will play out a thrilling 2-2 draw with PSG at home while winning the other 7 matches. Manchester City will finish in 3rd place, but will still go without a defeat in their 8 games. Last year's runners-up Dortmund will impress us all once again, suffering only 1 defeat to Real Madrid. Barcelona will have an impressive campaign under Hansi Flick, finishing in 5th place with 17 points. Inter Milan will be right under them in 6th place, just behind Barcelona on goal differential. Liverpool will slot right into the 7th spot, also on 17 points with a +8 goal differential. And to finish off the top 8, surprise guest Leipzig will blow us all away and secure a direct spot in the round of 16.
Okay, so right from the start, there is already so much wrong with this top 8 prediction. Real Madrid and Bayern Munich were incredibly disappointing in the league phase, finishing in 11th and 12th place respectively with 15 points. To be fair, this was one of the biggest shocks of the league phase run, but it's still comical that my top 2 finishers came nowhere close to the top. Manchester City finishing in 3rd really proves that hindsight is 20/20, considering how miserable their league phase run was as they finished down in 22nd place. Dortmund finished just outside of the top 8 with 15 points in 10th place, but they certainly didn't come close to putting up 7 wins. Barcelona, Inter Milan, and Liverpool all finished within the top 8 in the real competition, and while they performed better than I was expecting, I am still taking this prediction as a win. And when it comes to Leipzig, they certainly were a surprise side just for all the wrong reasons, so we'll just pretend that prediction never happened. These were the top 8 in my predictions, and this is how the top 8 turned out to be in real life, so you can tell that the rest of these predictions might be all over the place. Let's go over the seeded positions for the knockout playoffs and see if I did any better there.
Continuing on to the middle of the table, Leverkusen will just miss out on direct qualification as they finish 9th on 17 points with a +6 goal differential. Benfica will be a surprise team in 10th place, finishing with 16 points. Juventus will be rather disappointing as they finish in 11th and have to fight to stay in the competition. AC Milan will be the other Italian team, joining them in 12th spot, but not far behind their rivals. Atalanta makes up the Italian trio as they finish with 5 wins and 3 losses in 13th place. Atletico Madrid will have a very rough time in the league phase, finishing in an underwhelming 14th place. Sporting CP will be the other Portuguese side in the knockout playoffs, fighting to stay in the tournament as well. And finally, the biggest shock of the league phase will be PSG, who will have an awful time in their first 8 games as they have one of the hardest schedules ahead of them.
Okay, there's an interesting mix of reasonable predictions here, so we're off to a good start. Leverkusen exceeded my expectations as they finished within the top 8 with 16 points in 6th place, so not too far off from where I initially had them. I may have put too much faith in Benfica and Juventus as they finished in 16th place and 20th place respectively, which most people wouldn't have seen coming. AC Milan came the closest to where I initially had them ending up as they finished in 13th place with 15 points, just behind Real Madrid and Bayern Munich on goal difference. Atalanta and Atletico Madrid also performed better than expected, finishing 9th and 5th respectively, with both sides scoring 20 goals in their 8 matches. Sporting CP just barely made it into the playoff spots, finishing with 11 points but all the way down in 23rd place, so that prediction was quite far off too. And for the prediction that I'm most proud of, I knew that PSG was going to struggle with this new format, and that's exactly what happened. But considering they finished in 15th place with 13 points and they are now in the Champions League final, I certainly didn't see them having a redemption arc. These were the 8 teams that I thought would finish in a seeded playoff spot, and this is how those teams actually turned out as they finished from 9th to 16th place. These aren't necessarily the worst predictions of all time, but there's certainly room for growth. Let's go over the unseeded positions for the knockout playoffs next and see if there were any improvements there.
Next up on the list are Stuttgart, who will finish in 17th place after some impressive performances at home. Following them in 18th place will be Arsenal, who will severely underachieve in this tournament and might not even make the round of 16. Next up in 19th place are another English side in Aston Villa, who I believe are one of the wildcard teams in this year's tournament. In 20th spot we have Girona, who will try their best to emulate their success that they had last season in La Liga. Afterwards we have Dinamo Zagreb in 21st place, who will suffer from their relatively poor goal differential. Just behind them in 22nd place will be Red Star Belgrade, who will be hoping to qualify for the round of 16 for the first time in the modern era. In 23rd place will be Ukrainian side Shakhtar Donetsk, who will struggle without a home venue but will manage some surprise surprises along the way. And the last team to make the cut will be Salzburg in 24th place, who will be the final team to qualify for the knockout playoff.
Yeah, so these predictions couldn't have been further from the truth. Stuttgart's momentum from their impressive Bundesliga campaign did not translate to continental success as they finished all the way down in 26th place on 10 points. I have no idea what I was thinking of putting Arsenal down in 18th, because not only did they finish in 3rd place with 19 points, but they also made it all the way to the semi-finals. Aston Villa truly surprised us all by finishing up in 8th place with 16 points, which is a far cry from the 19th place where I initially had them ending up. And when it comes to Girona, Dinamo Zagreb, Red Star Belgrade, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Salzburg, literally none of them finished within the top 24, and they all finished with a negative goal differential. These were the 8 teams that I thought would finish in an unseeded playoff spot, and this is how positions 17 to 24 in the actual league phase turned out. There's a lot of teams here that I put too much faith in, only to be disappointed by their subpar performances. These predictions are slowly getting worse and worse, so let's see if I can redeem myself with the bottom 12 teams.
The final 12 teams will be eliminated from the tournament and from European competition altogether. Feyenoord and Club Brugge will manage 2 wins each, but it won't be enough to sneak into the playoff rounds. Lille will finish with 6 points, but too many draws and losses will end their suffering relatively quickly. Bologna, Celtic, and Brest will each finish with 4 points, with 3 wins and 18 losses between them being enough to make even the most loyal fans look away. PSV is my pick for the most disappointing team in this year's tournament, and my hot take is that they won't come away with even a single win. Sparta Praha, on the other hand, will manage to get their sole victory against Brest, but that won't be nearly enough to qualify. Young Boys and Sturm Graz will both manage to get 2 points each, going winless in this year's competition. And finally, Monaco and Slovan Bratislava will find themselves at the bottom of the league table with 1 point each.
Wow, so I really underestimated some of these teams. Feyenoord and Club Brugge managed to grab a spot in the knockout playoffs as they finished in 19th place and 24th place respectively. Lille had an incredible run in the league phase and exceeded the expectations I had for them as they finished in 7th place with 16 points, which I certainly did not see coming. Bologna had a tough time in the league phase as they only managed to grab 1 win, but Celtic and Brest blew my predictions out of the water as they finished in 21st place and 18th place respectively. I was incredibly wrong about PSV Eindhoven as not only did they win 4 of their 8 games, but they also finished in 14th place with 14 points. Sparta Prague, Young Boys, and Sturm Graz all underperformed in the league phase, but none of them ended up finishing where I thought they would. Monaco did surprisingly well in their 8 matches, coming away with 13 points in 17th place, whereas Slovan Bratislava couldn't manage to grab a single point as they finished second last in the table. These are the 12 teams that I initially thought would be eliminated from European football this season, but it was these 12 sides who went out without putting up much of a fight. When it's all said and done, the way I predicted the league phase to go looked something like this, and the way it actually went looked much different. Whether that's up to poor predictions on my part or the Champions League being truly unpredictable, that's up to you to decide. And when it comes to my prediction of Manchester City being crowned champions at the end of the season, well, we all know how that turned out. So there you have it, my Champions League predictions for this season. As you can tell, they definitely were farther from the truth than I was hoping for. The league phase was a new experience for every football fan out there, and that's the excuse I'll be using to try and justify those predictions. With the Champions League final just a few weeks away, this amazing season of European football is coming to an end, but what a season it's been. I think it's safe to say that my predictions don't really ever come true, so I'll save both PSG and Inter Milan the trouble. The final in Munich will be a must-see match, and I'm just hoping it lives up to the expectations. But what did you think of my Champions League predictions? Were your predictions any closer than mine, and who do you think has the best chance of winning the final? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more football content, tier lists, and everything in between, and as always, I'll catch you next time.